Would you want to live in the Japanese countryside in a house like this?
Now we are looking for as a family to stay here, for live in Shimomaki and have happy life with us.
Villagers in Japan are trying different ways to encourage people to move back, and in this video we're going to look at one trying to breathe new life through the renovation of traditional houses. It's been a while since I've been out on a trip to visit another renovation of a traditional Japanese house, so I thought this weekend I'd take the opportunity to travel up to Niigata, which is a prefecture north of Tokyo on the Sea of Japan side of Honshu, the main island. I'm going to be visiting an American couple who have purchased a property renovated by the German architect Karl Bengs. I'm also going to be speaking to a local man who's been leading the efforts to revitalize the village. So it should be pretty interesting. The part of Niigata that I'm heading to is about 4.5–5 hours drive away, so I'm heading off pretty early. It's a beautiful autumn day, great day for a drive, and we're heading out to tour 2 houses, one of which has just been completed and is for sale, both designed by Karl Bengs, a German architect and one of the leaders of the restoration of Japanese traditional farmhouses, kominka. I first heard about Karl Bengs on an NHK documentary, and he is quite well known in Japan as he features in a regular NHK series that follows his life and work. Since then, I'd been keen to take a closer look at a Bengs house, so though the visit was organised at short notice, I jumped at the chance. Throughout his career, he's renovated over 60 buildings in Niigata and other parts of Japan. In the village of Taketokoro alone, he's renovated 13 kominka, drawing people to live there, helping to increase the village's population, which serves as an example of what can be achieved. Later in this video, I'm going to visit Taketokoro and a town called Matsudai, where Karl Bengs' cafe and office is located. But first I'm heading out to a nearby village called Shimomaki, which is trying to emulate the success of Taketokoro. Karl Bengs' path to Japan was actually pretty interesting. Back in the 60s, he moved from East Berlin to Japan to study karate. He eventually moved back to Europe and worked in architecture and design firms in Berlin and Paris, and started a business disassembling Japanese houses and shipping them to Germany to be rebuilt. He eventually moved back to Japan in the early 90s and settled in Niigata, and over the years has been saving and renovating kominka. He often disassembles and reassembles the entire building, keeping the massive original timber frames, but making the houses much more comfortable to live in with insulation, double-paned windows imported from Germany, and his signature bold colours. I've been driving for 4 hours now. It was hard to find the address on SatNav, so I was just going to aim for the centre of the village and see if I could get directions from there. I've just reached Kakizaki. This is the closest main town to Shimomaki, about 10 minutes away, and this is where you'll find supermarkets, the train station, restaurants, etc. The nearest larger city is Joetsu, which is about 30 minutes drive away. Shimomaki is a small village and a good example of what's happening to rural villages in Japan. As you might already know, Japan is experiencing a decline in rural population as the country ages and younger people move to cities, mainly for the convenience and because that's where the jobs are, even though a rural lifestyle may be appealing to some. In Shimomaki, first I'm going to be meeting John and Karen, who moved over from the US a few years ago after buying a house designed by Karl Bengs.
左です。
Hi John, yeah, sorry, I was going to come into the town and then call you, and once I, found a landmark I could refer you to, but your house is very noticeable from the road, so yeah. Is it okay if I park here?
Of course.
Hi, Jaya.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so glad you're
Please
here.
come in.
Wow.
Well, the house that this is made from was about 150 years old. So the frame is 150 years old. The house itself, the new house, was completed in late 2019. And then it sat empty for a couple of years because of the pandemic until we finally heard about it in, I think it was 2021. Karen saw videos about Karl Bengs on NHK and then contacted him by email to ask him whether there were any houses in Taketokoro. And he said no, but there is one in Shimomaki. And so that's how Karen found the website for this house and how we got in touch with Nakamura-san. Here, why don't we go upstairs and I'll show you. They've added a third level, which is great for us because that's we do many things in the third level. We have our workspaces and stuff up there. And so this is you see, this is the frame of the house. We had traveled in Japan several times, but we'd never been to Niigata, so we hadn't even really thought about it as a place. We were thinking of maybe the Takayama area or perhaps north, but we're very happy that this worked out this way. The best view in the house is from the bathtub. As soon as we saw the website, we had the feeling, this is the place, this is really where we should go. And then we talked to Nakamura-san and Junki. In fact, we had a whole series of online interviews with them because they were very choosy about who they sold the house to. They want to make sure they bring people here who are going to help revitalize the village, not just people who want a vacation house. What's your head on this beam? I spent many years as a house carpenter, so to me the house is fascinating. I've never seen a house built this way before. Brought this from the US. House has a heating system built into the floor, so it's a radiant heating system, so we actually don't need the wood stove all that much. This sort of keeps the whole house at a very, very nice even temperature.
maybe not necessarily Niigata, but I wanted to move to Japan. It was always my mom's dream to come back to Japan, and she left right after the war and then came to the US, and I think she wasn't super happy in the United States and always wanted to come back, and she grew up in Inaka in Shizuoka. And so I felt like I wanted to live her dream. All my life I was sort of a oyakoko type of person and did things to please my parents, and now that they're gone, it makes me feel really good. I feel like living here, I have them here with me. It's incredible. The woman that lives here is like in her 90s and she's such a sweet person. So we feel really blessed that we moved to this village where we were accepted by people right away. And they're just so kind and helpful, and it's almost like I'm back in my hometown, even though I've never lived here before.
I'm Kazuhiko Nakamura. I was born in this village, Shimomaki. I was here until 20 years old. After that, I went to another city for college and working in like a US or other countries, and came back when I was 30s. I came back to Shimomaki. And since that time, I'm here for 27 years. I'm a farmer. I'm growing eggplant and some rice. Yeah, I'm surviving. And this is a very small village. When I was a child, let's say maybe 12 houses, family were living here. But when I come back, only 5, 6 family. Maybe after 10, 15 years, only our family will be here, Shimomaki. Then we must do something, and I knew Karl Bengs, and I went to see Karl Bengs, and I asked him, please help us. Just this year, we built the second houses of Karl Bengs. Now we are looking for other family who want to stay here, who are living in Shimomaki, and having happy life with us, enjoy life with us. Yeah, please come to visit.
Kazu's school used to be.
Oh yes, it's school was here.
How many kids were there in the school?
When I was a child, it was something like 20. But before that, let's say my father's age, it was more than 100.
Now, where is the closest elementary school?
Shimokuro Primary School takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, how many
Maybe
kilometers?
6 kilo, around 6, 7 kilo.
And in this village, how many kids are there?
How can I explain? This, I mean, Shimomaki, no children. But next village, Mizuno, they have how many? 6, 7?
Yeah, about.
6, 7 children. Yeah.
One just graduated from high school.
Oh, yeah,
so
sure. That maybe 7, 6,
Yeah.
yeah. どうしてこの下巻の人が減ったかっていうと、昔はその道路がまだそのアスファルトじゃなくて砂利、いわゆる石だったんですね。石を敷いた道だったんですね。で除雪も今みたいなそのでっかいやつじゃなくてこうブルトーザーといって、でそうすると除雪が間に合わないんで、皆さん雪が降ると通勤が非常に大変だったんですね。ところなんで皆さんこの通勤ができないっていうので、その雪の降らない平場、いわゆる標高の低いところへ家を建てて出ていったというのが、まあ今からいわゆる60年50年60年前ぐらいから始まって、皆さんどんどんそういうなんか流れに乗ってっちゃったと。だけど今実際住んでみるとみんな分かるんですが、もう除雪体制は昔と違って非常にいいんで、道路も良くなったし、10センチ降ればすぐ除雪車が出ますんで、その雪の心配が非常になくなったということでは、昔のようななんていうんですかね、流れで人が出ていくってことは今はないですね。単にその一度出てった方が戻ってこないということだと思ってます。はい。 私たちが今求めているのは、ここに住んでくれる人。これがまず一番。二つ目が、一緒に新しい集落を、こんな集落がいいねって、こういう生活しようねっていうことを考えてやってくれる人ですね。今、私実はその、町内会長といって、ここの責任者今やらせてもらってますが、新しいことをやろうと。新しいルールをみんなで作ろうという形でやってるんで、今、私もそうだし、新たに来てくれた筒井君のファミリーもそうだし。
This is where the community meetings are in the upstairs room there.
テレビを見ていて、そのカール・ベンクスというドイツ人がいると。で、やってることがこれ面白いと。これはすごいと。我々日本人が忘れていたこと、気づかなかったことをこう気づいて、もう今は厄介者だと思っている、我々としては厄介者だと思っている古民家を再生して、で、素敵な家にリフォームして、同じ新潟県にいるということを知りまして、彼に会いに行ったというのが始まりです。で、突然電話をして行ってもいいかということで、行きましたら快く迎え入れてくれて、で、できればカールさんのやってること、いわゆるこの辺の豪雪地帯にある雪がたくさん降るところにある家っていうのは非常にいい材料を使っていてしっかりしてるんで、もう一度こう手を加えてやればこの先100年200年人は住めるんだよというもったいない宝物なんだよと言われまして、じゃあちょっと奮起して何とかしようということでカール・ベンクスさんにお手伝いをいただいて、家を直し始めたというのが始まりです。
So this house is currently for sale.
Yes. If you want to buy this house, please live here. Yeah, that's our condition.
So I'm looking for a family.
Yeah, not the last. Of course, family is okay, but
Or somebody
council is okay. Yeah.
So this is similar to our bathroom, very, very similar.
古民家の一番の問題点は隙間風が入ってくる、虫が入ってくる、暖かくないとか、そういうことで皆さん嫌われるんで、そこを直してるのがカールさんの技術で、もう一度絶回全部ばらして、それをもう一回きれいに基礎したところに立て直して、その材料を使って立て直して、ちょっとヨーロピアン風にカラフルにしていくというのが彼のやり方なんですが、正直その普通の家の倍ぐらいね、一旦ばらしてそれを組み立てるということをするんで、金銭的にも倍ぐらいかかるし、まして今それをできる技術者はもう本当少なくなっていて、そういった意味では意外に手がかかるということがちょっと難点でしたが、ただ運よくそういう人に出会えたんで、やることができたと。これからどうなるか分かりませんけど、できればね、またいろんな家族にファミリーにこの集落に来ていただきたいんで、また続けて頑張ってやりたいと思っています。
By the way, I'm here in Niigata because I'm interested in kominka restoration and rural revitalization. This is not a real estate video and I'm not getting any payment or commission for this. But if someone is interested in buying this house, I've put some links in the description. Note that if you're from overseas, merely owning a property in Japan does not give you a visa to live here.
ここはまあ自然が非常にね、綺麗っていうか、で、自然が豊かなんで、で、四季を通して私が一番好きなのは冬です。で、冬はなんで好きかっていうと、まあ、ね、すべてこう真っ白の世界になって、まあまあ、いやめっちゃ綺麗なんですよ。その真っ白の世界がめっちゃ綺麗で。で、スキーも好きなんで、スキーとかスノーボードが好きなんで、まあ冬は天気がなんとすぐ、我々夫婦でスキー場へ行くんですが、上越市に一つスキー場があって、そこへはここから45分で行けます。
No matter how nice living in the country might sound to some people, especially if you like snow, the reality is, particularly for a young family, income and job variety are still centred in the cities. If you're not into farming, moving here would require some out-of-the-box thinking or the ability to work remotely, though thankfully the village is fully equipped with fibre optic cable and high-speed internet. Even Nakamura-san, despite his deep love for this place, understands the draw of the city and the need to explore the wider world. After all, he followed that same path himself in his younger days.
私には子供が3人いますが、今3人とも東京方面で働いてます。ですが、まあ1人か2人はいずれ帰ってくるのかなと。で、まあ本当はそのうち特に3番目の子供なんか最初、まあ向こう行きたくないと、東京なんか行きたくない、こっちにこのまま学校出てこっちで生活したいみたいなことを言ってたんですが、まあまあ私は逆にまあ、とりあえず一度行けと。ね、やっぱりそういうとこへ行って、行くと、ここの良さがわかるんで、まあ私の場合はそうだったんで、いわゆる逆に日本から出て、日本の良さが分かったし、で、自分の田舎から出て、こう田舎の良さが分かったんで、まあいずれ、まあきっと、全員とは言いませんけども、全員が帰ってくるかなって、女の子は帰ってこないかなって気がしますけど、まあ、男の子2人ですが、彼らはきっと帰ってくるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
This building is the old kindergarten and where I'll be staying the night. It's used as a guest house for people who are interested in checking out the village and maybe seeing whether it may be somewhere they would like to live. After heading back to Karen and John's place for dinner, I meet Junki and Erina, a young couple from the city who Nakamura-san introduced to the village and who now have made it their home.
So my name is Junki. I'm 33 years old. Then I'm from Tokyo. Then I moved here 5 years ago. And before I came here, I worked for an advertise agent. I always dreamed to move from Tokyo from my age 28 or 7. Then I wanted small place and making the place I want to live is like paradise. Now I'm farmer. I'm making rice and enjoying living in mountains. There was a booth of kakizaki. Then there is a Nakamura-san there. Then I just met. Then he asked me, please come to this village and see around kakizaki. Then, yeah, I really loved here. Then I decided to move to live. Every day I do what I want to do, so really enjoy every day. Even it's hard than I expected though, but I feel I live. To be honest, to live mountainside is not easy, and to make our stable salary is not easy. It's not difficult though, but we have to work hard. I hope people can choose how to live, what is their happiness.
筒井絵里奈33歳です。新潟県出身です。もともと美容師をしていました。で、今は夫と一緒に農業をしています。彼に出会うまで農業とか、山での暮らしとかを考えたことがなかったので、出会ってその農業のある暮らしとか山での暮らしを知ってすごく魅力的だなっていうふうに感じて、そこからいいなって思うようになりました。2人で、ゆっくりご飯食べたり、外でこう火を囲みながら美味しいご飯を食べたり、 夜見上げると星が綺麗に輝いてたりとか、なんかそういう小さなことがなんか好きというか良かったなって思う。
In my opinion, the sweet spot for living in Japan is a small town or village just outside a large city or a large town, similar to where we live in Ibaraki. Here, more so than our place, you really do feel like you're secluded, but at the same time you're only 10 minutes from supermarkets, home centres, restaurants, schools, and 30 minutes from a larger hospital or train stations and Shinkansen into Tokyo. The next day the weather wasn't so nice, and after a very good cooked breakfast I said my goodbyes to Karen and John and headed off. Yesterday I got an email from the office of Karl Bengs, and unfortunately he's not going to be in today, but they did say I could come down to the cafe there and have a look around and film some of it to show you guys, so I'm going to head over there now. The cafe is about an hour away in a town called Matsudai. This building used to be an historic Meiji period inn that had been shut down for a number of years before Mr. Bengs took it over and renovated it, turning it into a cafe and his office. In this case, the building was renovated rather than disassembled and reconstructed like the previous two houses we just saw. This floor is open to the public and is like a mini museum with various artifacts on display. The town of Matsudai itself contains 16 buildings Bengs has worked on. After a very nice quiche and a good coffee, I made the 20-minute drive through beautiful countryside to Taketokoro. In the early 90s, Taketokoro was a village on the brink of disappearing, going from 39 households in the 60s to only 9 households when Mr. Bengs moved there in 1993 and renovated his first house, the one he lives in today. Since then, he's restored 13 houses in the village, bringing them to modern comfort levels, stemming the exodus, encouraging inward migration, and bringing the average age of the village down from 70 to 40. You can see these houses dotted about with his trademark bold colours, which he uses as a contrast to the often white and grey winters in Niigata, turning them into vibrant homes that give energy to the people who live in them. This serves as the inspiration for Nakamura-san in Shimomaki. I didn't have time to visit the cafe as it was getting late and I needed to get back to Ibaraki, but seeing these renovated houses here, I realised that they are more than just beautiful architecture. They represent a modern reinvention of the village. By turning drafty, cold houses into colourful, high-performance homes, while maintaining the spirit of the Japanese rural landscape, Karl Bengs has removed one of the barriers to country life. And though the harsh living conditions, an ageing society and the lack of local jobs has driven people away, maybe a combination of nature, a desire to return to the simple life, plus high-speed internet and comfortable houses, makes it just a little more attractive for people to return. Thanks for watching and see you next time.